The KXAN News Podcast is sponsored by Shelf Genie.
Now at 5, a scene many have described as surreal is still unfolding outside the Manhattan Criminal Courthouse in New York. Former President Donald Trump arrested and indicted on nearly 36 felony charges.
And inside a Travis County courtroom, what a defense expert witness told jurors today about the claims that Daniel Perry sped into a crowd of protesters before shooting and killing one of them.
And we're tracking from the very large hail threat tonight to chilly, wet weather a couple days from now. Lots to talk about in your first warning forecast.
Donald Trump is now the first former president to face criminal charges. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jennifer Sanders.
And I'm Daniel Marin. Trump was arraigned in New York City on 34 criminal counts of falsifying business records and conspiracy. The historic trip from his Midtown high-rise to Lower Manhattan was short, less than 4 miles. Cameras got a quick glimpse as he entered the criminal courthouse. Inside, agents read him his rights and fingerprinted the former president.
And still, photographers were allowed briefly inside the courtroom before the arraignment. His charges are for his alleged role in a hush money scheme that prosecutors say involved multiple payoffs to 2 women who said they had extramarital sexual encounters with Trump years earlier. Mr. Trump pleaded not guilty, and the judge warned him to refrain from rhetoric that could inflame or cause civil unrest.
And outside, protesters and politicians had plenty to say. Alice Barr has their reaction.
History unfolding inside a Manhattan courtroom today, with former President Trump pleading not guilty to 34 counts of falsifying business records and conspiracy for his alleged role in hush money payments to 2 women leading up to the 2016 election. The political effects already rippling across the country as voters look ahead to Mr. Trump's 2024 race for the White House.
I am thinking that Trump is a threat to democracy, and I think he needs to be held accountable for his crimes.
I think it's a disgrace for this country what's going on, to politicize the Justice Department.
Among dueling protesters outside the courthouse, a handful of lawmakers, including the controversial conservative Marjorie Taylor Greene.
They're not prosecuting President Trump, they're persecuting him. And it's all because he's the leading Republican candidate for the presidential election for 2024.
She argues the former president's legal battles only make him stronger. Recent polling does show him gaining ground among Republican voters. Democrats have their own concerns.
I fear if this just becomes a Trump spectacle 24/7 on cable news, that he's going to benefit in the same way he benefited in 2016.
Former President Trump lashing out on social media against the Manhattan district attorney and other perceived opponents as he prepares to fight this and other potential charges in separate cases looming over his presidential bid. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And after court, the former president's motorcade traveled directly to LaGuardia Airport for the trip back to Florida. He is expected to speak sometime this evening during a rally at his Mar-a-Lago estate. And then coming up right here on NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt, the campaign of a criminally charged president. After this indictment, 2 impeachments, lawsuits, and a series of active investigations, can Trump get the Republican Party's presidential nomination? What the 2024 campaign season looks like now. Ahead on Nightly News.
The Texas Senate today passed a bill that bans treatment options for transgender youth. The version that passed along party lines would restrict puberty-blocking medication, hormone therapy, or surgeries for the, quote, purpose of a transition in a child's biological sex. The bill also calls for doctors to lose their state medical license for providing those options, and it would prevent state health insurance plans from covering the services. The legislation now goes to the House.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist David Yeomans.
Well, yesterday, you'll recall, we set a record high. Today, we almost did it again. Not only unseasonably hot, but 91 was 1 degree shy of the hottest temperature we've ever seen on today's date in Austin. It is still warm out there under a mainly gray sky. Live at the Rock and Dirt Yard Cam in Buda, it's 84. A little warmer elsewhere, though. 86 degrees in Austin, 79 in Giddings and LaGrange isn't bad, but we're at 90 degrees in Mason. Remember, you were at 98 yesterday afternoon. Cloud cover helping to keep us a little bit cooler, but it's not generating much in the way of rain. Zooming in on these couple little sprinkles out in the hill country. It's just a couple drops on the windshield for our friends in San Saba and Dawson Harper west of Fredericksburg. Coming up in your forecast, a severe storm threat overnight, then a very high fire danger that follows. Not only that, but umbrella and jacket weather for days. Lots to cover in just a few minutes.
All right, David, thank you. And now to a prostitution bust. This one in Denton County in North Texas. As Katie Blakey explains, the sheriff there says expect to see more sting operations as deputies try to crack down on human trafficking.
You're going to see a lot of these stings in Denton County. It's going to
Denton County Sheriff Tracy Murphy says he wants to put Johns on notice. A recent prostitution bust led to the arrest of 17 men. The sheriff says the men went online looking for sex, arranged to meet at an I-35 hotel, and when they arrived, officers were waiting.
You may not be talking to a prostitute. You may be talking to somebody who looks like me and is wearing a badge and a gun.
Targeting Johns is one way the sheriff believes he can curb human trafficking.
They know that when they go and meet one of these individuals, that it's more than likely someone who's either being human trafficked or someone who's down on their luck, and they're taking advantage of that, and they know that.
Last year, we served 357 women and teen girls in our community.
New Friends, New Life is a resource for survivors. The CEO says human trafficking is a $99 million industry in DFW.
The buyer is a critical piece of the puzzle. Sex trafficking does not work if there is not the demand, right? And so holding buyers accountable is just as important as holding the trafficker or the seller accountable for this crime.
Something the Denton County Sheriff says his office will do.
They come from all walks of life. It's in the past we've arrested preachers, we've arrested police officers, we've arrested executives or folks that you see every day who are engaging in this activity, and it's up to us to put a stop to it.
And going in depth right now, last September, the Austin City Council unanimously passed a resolution to require educational materials to help identify and then report human trafficking in every city building. It also encouraged city vendors like Salvation Army and Caritas to do the same. This all came after a national FBI sting uncovered 2 teen human trafficking victims in Austin the month before.
Finland has become an official member of the NATO military alliance. The process to become the organization's 31st member was finalized today when Finnish Foreign Minister Pekka Haavisto delivered an official document to U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken at NATO headquarters in Brussels. Finland shares an 830-mile border with Russia. With the Nordic nation entering the world's biggest security alliance, NATO's land border with Russia has now doubled. Finland had adopted neutrality after its defeat by the Soviets in World War II, but its leaders signaled they wanted to join NATO just months after Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
A passenger train in the Netherlands collided with a maintenance crane, injuring dozens of passengers and killing that crane operator. This was just before dawn, and a full investigation is currently underway.
A golf legend is back on the green. What Tiger Woods had to say about being back at Augusta.
And if you're dreaming of a summer vacation somewhere overseas, we hear from the State Department on how long the wait is for a passport.
And an Austin murder trial, an expert witness for the defense contradicts what witnesses say they saw with their eyes. What jurors heard today in the courtroom. Tiger Woods is back in Georgia for this week's Masters. The 5-time Green Jacket winner says he is ready to play and compete at Augusta National Golf Club.
Yeah, I don't know how many more I have in me. So just to be able to appreciate the time that I have here and cherish the memories, but still just look at the golf course and it looks like it's been here for over 100 years and it hadn't changed. Each and every year we come here and everything has changed since I first played here.
And this is only Tiger's second tournament of the year. He's only missed the Masters cut once when he was an amateur in 1996.
The Austin airport says construction is underway for upgraded TSA screening machines. It says the new 3D X-ray scanners will mean travelers can leave everything in their carry-on bags, including those electronics that are larger than a cell phone, 3-in-1 liquids, and food. Full installation of the machines is expected by late summer.
Well, dry weather so far today in Austin, which if you look at the year-to-date total, we're actually missing 40% of our normal rainfall already in 2023. But I think we make up a lot of that, if not all of it, later this week. We'll have your first warning forecast coming up.
This KXAN News podcast is brought to you by Shelf Genie. I'm Rosie Newberry from KXAN Studio 512. Considering replacing your kitchen cabinets? Struggling to find or reach things? Go to shelfgenie.com/Austin. Shelf Genie designs custom pull-out shelves for your existing cabinets, adding convenience and value to the most used room in your home. Shelf Genie custom pull-out shelves, everything in reach.
A big contradiction in court today during the murder trial of Daniel Perry.
One of the defense's expert witnesses testified that Perry actually slowed down as he drove into a crowd of Black Lives Matter protesters in 2020 before he shot and killed Garrett Foster.
That's not what other witnesses have said. KXAN's Jayla Washington is live downtown for us now. Jayla, who exactly is this expert and how was he able to figure all this out?
Hey, Daniel and Jennifer. Well, this expert is an engineer and he analyzes photos using a lot of math and science to do so. Let me tell you, today he really shook things up because up until now, we've been hearing a lot of conflicting stories from witnesses about how fast Perry was actually driving his car. This analysis is key to the defense argument in the Daniel Perry murder trial. The defense's expert witness, Jason Evans, presenting months of data from laser scans that helped him determine this.
We determined that throughout Mr. Perry's turn, that he was deaccelerating or slowing down throughout the turn.
Evans, an engineer, says they were able to create a 3D rendering of how Daniel Perry's car moved turning into the crowd of protesters after his team did 23 laser scans out on South Congress. He says they used photos and videos from witnesses to create a digital clone of where Foster was shot and killed.
Mr. Perry starts off initially at 11.9 miles per hour.
If we were to watch a video, somebody might say, well, it looks faster than 11.9 miles an hour.
So sometimes because of lens distortion, with that depth perception issues, those can affect things. Also the angle of camera sometimes.
The state, though, questioned if the equipment used to collect data always works as it should.
And one of the things that experts in your field have stated are many factors that factor in establishing how well the system will perform.
The furthest point in the door was identified by a plane.
Evans's data analysis also revealed protester Garrett Foster was about 1.5 feet from Perry's car, 1/10 of a second before Perry shot him. The state a little bit more fiery in their line of questioning now.
It would be nice to know that whoever did it knew what the hell they were doing.
Working to maintain their witnesses' credibility. Now, the expert who you heard from, he is a former police officer. That was revealed by the state as they really zeroed in on his background for jurors. Now, according to the state, he did get asked to be a guest podcast that the state describes as pro-police. Evans says he stuck to the facts and the data during his testimony. The last witness of the day on the stand right now, and we are expecting the defense to be done with their witnesses by the end of Thursday. I'm reporting live downtown, Jayla Washington, KXAN News.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist David Yeomans.
Well, it's after 5:15 now, and it is another sticky afternoon out there. 86 degrees at 5 p.m. on the Austonian weather cam. Gusty south winds up to or even over 20 miles an hour. But soon, those winds swing around to the north, starting at 4 a.m. and all the way through tomorrow afternoon. We have a red flag warning as the humidity plummets and winds pick up. That's a cold front bringing a very high fire danger. Keep that in mind. It is in effect in the Austin area tomorrow as well. Otherwise, the wind's not doing any allergy sufferers favors. Mold is very high. Oak actually a bit lower, down into the medium count. And 5 total allergens, including mulberry, much lower. We have lots of clouds, but not a lot of rain across our area quite yet as we monitor this huge spinning storm up in the Rockies. Look at the massive comma shape associated with this and a cold front moving our way tonight as well. Unfortunately, this system, as it ejects into the plains, expected to lead to another dangerous tornado outbreak from Little Rock up to Iowa and Illinois. These are some of the areas, remember, that saw deadly tornadoes just less than 1 week ago. Unlike that storm, though, we too have the threat of some dangerous weather overnight into the morning. morning. Austin area included in this slight 2 out of 5 severe weather risk. What are we worried about? Not so much tornadoes here and certainly not flooding tonight, but hail, large as eggs in your fridge or even larger than that, is possible from a couple isolated storms that may develop. Let me show you how we think this goes down. This is a brand new run of our high-resolution model just in 15 minutes ago. Pretty quiet evening with mostly cloudy skies, but then after sundown, we're watching for a couple isolated hail producers, maybe along or east of I-35 as this model indicates. We'll have to keep a close eye on those during the 10 o'clock news, so you can join us for that right here. Otherwise, here comes the cold front from the hill country, moving into Llano and Burnet around 4 a.m. An isolated shower or severe thunderstorm possible along it, but notice not many of these storms look too mean. Our high-resolution models agree that we may not see a lot of severe weather with the front during your morning drive tomorrow. Here we are at 10 a.m. as the front clears east of I-35. After that, a mostly cloudy day with a few spotty storms from Austin eastward, but the sunshine is out with cooler temperatures tomorrow in the hill country. Then more of us get in on the action. Thursday morning, the front is all the way down near the Texas coast, and more little pieces of energy in the atmosphere start to create rain and thunderstorms. Now, Thursday and Friday, the rain will be most numerous along and east of I-35, but hill country, you guys should get some. Here we are with pretty widespread rain midday through Thursday evening. Heaviest certainly down in Fayette County. On Friday morning, we switch over to our extended range model. Another pretty wet day. This one paints with a bit broader of a brush, as you can see. Then the storm system moves out of here in time for Saturday and Easter Sunday. Now, if we run the models all the way through Friday night as this rain producer exits, look how promising this could be. 2 to 4 inches possible in some areas from I-35 eastward. Lighter amounts, but hopefully up to an inch in parts of the hill country. A different long-range model, which is also a good one for us, showing even higher bullseyes in places like Fayette and Lee counties, but also a little less optimistic west of 35. This is going to be one of those situations with a really tight rainfall gradient, and it's of course hard to predict where exactly those dividing lines of heavy rain will be. I'll tell you this though, the Weather Service and Weather Prediction Center painting a broad 2 out of 4 threat of flash flooding from this setup, so certainly something to keep an eye on with much wetter weather on Thursday and Friday. All right, tonight turning cooler by dawn as the front spins the winds around to the north. Scattered storms before then. Some could be severe. Tomorrow, gusty north winds, cooler at 78 with about a 40% chance of a passing storm. Look at the rain chances, though, through the roof on Thursday and Friday as high temperatures have been revised down to the 50s for a couple days. Don't worry, though. Easter plans look totally different and gorgeous with highs in the 70s.
More driverless vehicles coming to Austin. Why another company wants to test its technology here. Austinites will soon see a new set of driverless vehicles cruising through the city. Waymo announced late last week its latest vehicle will test drive in Austin after launching ride-hail services in San Francisco and Phoenix. Now, this isn't the only driverless vehicle operating in Austin. Just last month, Cruise from General Motors announced it would unveil its robo-taxi technology in the Texas capital later this spring. Waymo credits the city's growing population and pedestrian-heavy entertainment districts with helping them improve their technology. For more information about Waymo, including the milestone achievement the company made in Austin back in 2015, just head on over to KXAN.com and click on this story.
If you need a passport, don't wait. The State Department now says it could take more than 4 months just to get a new passport. It says it received 500,000 applications during a few weeks this winter, and that was a record and more than it expected. Even an expedited application, which usually costs an extra $60 plus delivery fees, still takes 7 to 9 weeks. A traditional passport costs about $130 to renew, and there's an additional $35 acceptance fee for first-time applicants.
Well, you knew it was coming with the price of eggs. A Japanese food manufacturer has developed a plant-based egg that it calls EverEgg. Ingredients that include carrot and white kidney beans are used to reproduce the rich and fluffy egg texture. Frozen types of plant-based eggs have been available, but this new EverEgg can be stored at room temperature for up to a year. Like in the U.S., egg prices have hit new highs in Japan due to rising raw material costs and avian flu outbreak.
Now reruns tonight on KXAN at 7. It's Night Court, 7:30. It's American Auto. The Voice is all new at 8. And then Jimmy Fallon's That's My Jan at 9, right before we're back here on KXAN News at 10 o'clock. And of course, keep in mind there's a good possibility programming may be interrupted for comments from former President Donald Trump after he arrives back in Florida tonight.
Thanks for listening to KXAN News Nightly. You can also listen to KXAN News Today every morning for more in-depth coverage of what matters most to you.